Hello and welcome to the program at the Desk on Global Television, where we look at salient issues making the rounds in Nigeria. We'll be looking at things from the global scene, looking at the African continent, where the president-elect of Senegal, talking about would be sworn in hopefully on Tuesday, and the president of Nigeria, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, would be flying to Dakar to be part of the heads of state to attend that very important meeting as regards the inauguration of the new president of Senegal. We'll also be looking at issues playing out. The APC in all kind of different troubles as regards the Benue APC crisis, where George Akume, who is the current secretary to the Government of Federation's faction, is at loggerheads with the governor of the state, Governor Hyacinth Alia, who's member, talking about one of the chairman of the state party, talking about Osman Agada, and majority of the executive committee members continue to pledge loyalty to Akume, while a minority is siding with Governor Alia. And we know for sure that Dan Onje, the APC senatorial candidate in the 2023 Benue South election, a staunch supporter of Governor Alia, filed a petition against Agada, saying that the APC chieftain, compromised the party's chances at the previous elections. So we'll be looking at that. And we'll also be going to Kaduna State, where the APC women leader was also suspended for defending or attacking Governor Obasani, who said the previous administration had left a huge debt, which has made it impossible for him to pay a worker's salary. We'll be looking at that and other issues making the rounds across Nigeria. On today's edition, I've got the former editor-in-chief of African Independent Television, AIT, talking about Sunday Ayami, who is joining us live in the studio, and hopefully we'll be having some other guests. Chief Chike Okongu will be joining us via Zoom, and other persons also will be joining us, other guests will be joining us via Zoom as we make this discourse. Good evening, and thank you for joining me in the studios.
Thank you too for having me.
All right, let's begin.
Yeah, happy
Easter, yes, celebrations to Nigerians. Yes. All right, let's begin from first of all, I think let's just begin with what's playing out in Senegal, since we're starting from the African continent. President Tinubu will be flying to Dakar tomorrow to be part of those who will be witnessing the inauguration of a young man, a previous task inspector, who is now the president of Senegal. What does this mean for the people of Senegal? We know that Macky Sall was almost wanting to perpetuate himself in power before these recent elections.
You see, if you want to start with that, the history that led to their election just a few weeks ago, you will just be surprised, and you will ask yourself, can Nigeria go through this? You remember the president-elect in Sierra Leone was being incarcerated for a very long time over certain acts that were not actually committed by him. But because the incumbent at that time wanted to perpetrate himself into power, he wanted to be the sole person, the sole candidate to run for that election. But the outcry in Senegal was too high. So now they decided 10 days to the election. To him, he thought that the man would not use that 10 days to go around. But he didn't even need to go around the country as we do here, because people are already aware and they wanted him. So he thought he wouldn't achieve that. But today is history. He's now the president-elect of Senegal. And other heads of states and government, by the grace of God, tomorrow they are going there to witness his inauguration, including our own president here, President Bola Tinubu. So, and Ireland is one of the youngest, as it is now in Africa.
Yeah, yes.
We give him all the kudos. I wish him best of luck.
Well, Leslie, what lessons can Nigeria and African countries, the other 53 African countries, learn from Senegal, especially the umpire for the elections, who made sure that they did not allow Macky Sall influence their decision, like INEC. Can we say we have that same kind of confidence for INEC?
Well, I am seeing this as a very clear departure from the normal thing that have been playing out in other elections and in other climes too. Because I give kudos to the electoral umpire in
Senegal.
In Nigeria here, first, after the election, we have been battling it out at the tribunal, which may lead to Supreme Court. Of course, like in Nigeria, for instance, Court of Appeal is the first instance for such matters. Now, but look at them. The man considered an accepted defeat to the president-elect, and nobody is going to court to challenge anybody in that election. So the other electoral officers in other countries should take a cue from there. And like in Nigeria, where we have independent, that word independent captures everything.
But are they truly independent?
They are not truly independent. But they ought to be, even if you derive their funds from, of course, they are on first line charge. INEC is on first line charge. So they should not say they don't have money. Anytime they have money, they need money, they always get their money as at when due. So they should not even say, because this government is in power, we should help them perpetrate themselves into in power for a very long time. For goodness sake, let them take a cue from what has happened in Senegal, so that the electoral processes in Africa should not be disputed any longer.
All right, we wish the people of Senegal the very best of luck as they would inaugurate their president tomorrow, Tuesday, and we hope lessons will be learned from Senegal as regards the way to go in terms of electing. And also, can we just not even just INEC or the presidency, what of Nigerian electorate? Do you think they can also draw something inspiration from Senegalese who didn't say because I'm a Christian or I'm a Muslim, I'm from South Dakar or North Dakar
I don't think
to
that
vote?
their electorate will. We don't even bother about that, because if we bothered about that, Tinubu would not have been in power today because of Muslim ticket. Nigerians want, in fact, they have ready-made minds. Before the election, this is a personal one. Even it's been discussed at open places.
So why did they still choose the APC who had, people had complained even before the elections?
Let me tell you one thing. Any ruling party in Nigeria, they have already built up and massed up followership by handout, contract,
vote
by all those things. So that one you cannot control. It's not the people themselves, but they have been induced, even up to the election day.
But are you saying the Senegalese people wouldn't have also been induced, or are you saying this election malpractice is only in Nigeria?
In fact, the people there already made up their minds, because the president, the incumbent president, they knew how he was going. And they have also accused the man of amassing so much wealth. But whatever he gives them, they have already made up their mind, and they've chose to go the new way. Just like what Nigeria did when they changed from PDP to APC. So just watch it. Very soon, Obi missed it by hair's breadth. And look at this, the party that Obi fronted for is already having crisis now, where even Obi is thinking of leaving the party because they never did what they ought to have done. So it is those sort of cracks in party. PDP, APC is going to have their cracks very soon. Just watch it. And that thing will lead to their failure in coming election.
All right, let's move on from what's happening in Senegal. Let's come back home and look at the issue playing out in Benue State, where the rift between George Akume, who is the current secretary to the federal government, and the incumbent governor of Benue State, talking about Governor Hyacinth Alia. Let's look at the issue that caused the problem, the fact that one party faithful who is loyal to the governor files a suit against the state's party chairman in person of Austin Agada, accusing him of not helping the party win the last election. Do you think this is more of a personal issue, the fact that Dan Onje is accusing the APC chairman of the state for compromising and making him lose the elections, senatorial elections? Or you think it's just about Akume? And
you see, it's not even that. Now the assembly members in Benue State, right from the state level, where he has control over, to the federal level, House of Reps, and the few senators they have. I recall about a month ago they had a meeting where they claimed that Alia is not associating with them, and they want to keep him incommunicado. I'm aware of that meeting. Now, how did that come about? The federal lawmakers are saying that when they were inaugurated, Alia did not receive them as their own governor. They were not being received. Other state governors were busy receiving their state federal legislators, and Alia is not relating with them. There are certain things they would have wanted Alia to extend to them, but Alia is not doing that. Alia has come out to say he inherited so much debt from the past administration. That is
Samuel Otom.
Samuel Otom. And he's trying to see how he can repay those debts. Now that thing brought in the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who wants to be seen as the highest political officer from that state. Alia said, no, I am the governor here. You are only appointee. So if the government thinks anyhow, the federal government thinks they can drop you at any time. But me, I am elected to do my 4 years. And in 4 years, if the people vote me again, I will do for 8 years. So that is the main quarrel there.
But the National Working Committee had told Dan Onje to withdraw the suit against Austin Agada, and there was a deadline given, and the deadline has elapsed. Do you think Hyacinth on his own would have helped?
The National Working Committee, NWC of the party, was only trying to save a situation so that it will not implode in their hands. Because if they don't do that, as a party, as the head of the party here in Abuja, which means they were not interested in solving the problem that are happening over there. So that was why they came in and gave the man a time lamp in which he would be able to withdraw the case. And since he has not withdrawn the matter, fine, let it go on.
What will be the implication of this and the way it's going now? Does this favor Alia in any way, the fact that there's continuous crisis in his state? Wouldn't it be better for him to shoot his sword so that things can work better?
Yeah, you see, in politics, you give here, you take from here. But Alia wants to stand on his own.
Is it because he's a clergyman?
He's a clergyman, and he wants to prove a point to them. He wants to prove a point that, look, I have come here to work for the state. I am not interested in your money, but to work for the state. Just to prove that point. But you know, in politics, like a politician has once said, that if you cannot tell lies while campaigning, then you are not a politician. So when you see something that is white, of course, in the course of your campaign, you can turn it to black. When people are seeing it that is white, you can turn it to black. So that is how politics is in Nigeria. I don't know if it is like that in other. I've covered elections when I was reporting, even in other countries, I have not seen what is going on in Nigeria, going on out there. But let us look at them and see. It's only our vote that can bring them in or take them out.
All right, but looking at the accusation being leveled by Onje against the party chairman, shouldn't they have investigated before, because for him to have undermined the chances of the party in the 2023 election, shouldn't that make him anti-party, politics there?
I don't think anti-party should even come in there now, because one, you wouldn't have known the candidature, the acceptability of that candidate. So it's not because, look, let me tell you, anti-party, once you tell somebody that you are from party A and another person belongs to party B, and you now tell people vote for party A, that is anti-party. Is it proven that there was any case of anti-party there? So long as it's not proven, the person that did not win that election failed because his people refused to vote him. And that's all. They should take it like that. It's not a matter of anti-party.
All right, but for the judiciary, can we also hold the judiciary responsible for all these issues we're having, the APC crisis, the PDP crisis, because of the different rulings they seem to give to us? Because one of the rulings...
If it is court of coordinate jurisdiction...
Because one of the courts barred Agada from restraining him from acting as the party chairman. Why another ruling by the Benin State High Court is saying... he reinstated Agada, so that conflict.
You see, that is the confusion in the judiciary. Now, let me tell you, there was this time somebody got a high court judgment here in Abuja in his favor. It got to Port Harcourt. They turned it, that same high court, the same court of coordinate jurisdiction, turned it against him. So now there were two court orders, one for him, the other one against him. They don't even know what to do. Because I want to believe that whether a state high court or a federal high court that are on the same levels, they should be able to understand that this man has gotten a judgment from this level of the court in Abuja. And it should be overlooked over there. Instead, you tell him to go to appeal. Appeal court is higher than the high court. That is the best way you can go. Or at the most, you go to Supreme Court. So the judiciary, as you said, is also helping to confuse the situation.
All right, let's move on. Let's take you to Kaduna, where the Kaduna State chapter of the All Progressive Congress is also emerging in another crisis and has suspended Hajia Mariam Rusau, the state women leader, for allegedly defending former Governor Nasir El-Rufai over a recent controversy on the state's large debt. Badarawa and Malali Ward APC Executive Committee said in a letter on Sunday that the suspension was necessary as she violated the party's constitution, specifically Article 221 subsection 2. The letter was co-signed by the ward chairman and secretary Ali Meshago and Zaka Basahawa, respectively, and made available to newsmen. Let's look at this issue. Was it wrong for the women leader to defend the XY governor? And do you think the party faithfuls were just playing to the gallery?
At the same time, it was also right. Why I say so is this, because she now belongs to a new regime. El-Rufai regime is gone. You understand? So it is wrong for her to support El-Rufai against the regime in place now, for which you know that you are part of that regime as a woman leader. Then it is right also at the same time to defend El-Rufai. Now, if she, on her own conviction, you understand, on her own conviction, knows that El-Rufai did the right thing for which he was being accused of, to have done the wrong thing, then she has the right to do it. But it belongs to two different districts now. If she said what she said as a personal opinion, of course, she's right. But if she's doing that using her official position as the chair of the women wing of the party there, then she's wrong. Because you cannot chastise your party, a party that you are part of.
Because she was accused of the unauthorized publicity of...
that is to say, she may have used it officially. Because if it is personal opinion, nobody has right. Nobody. Because I have my opinion to express. But if I tell you now, I'm using my opinion, I'm talking on behalf of myself as the chair, women leader. Of course, they will come against you. You know our country. Okay,
but let's look at the burden: $587 million and 85 billion naira and 115 contractual liabilities. This was what El-Rufai left behind. Looking at the integrity or the dignity or the kind of personality El-Rufai, posture he has on the public space.
That was a debt he left behind.
Yes.
Now,
does that tally with the personality he portrays?
It doesn't tally. I know El-Rufai from when he was in BP, and El-Rufai claimed sainthood.
Okay.
You understand? He claimed sainthood. So, if he has not proved that sainthood up to the time he left government, then something is wrong there. Then the government has the right to now invite the EFCC or ICPC to come and probe him. Because one, El-Rufai is even angry with this present Bola Tinubu administration because he was not giving a job. You understand? And that was why he ran away abroad that he wanted to go and rest. He came back, the first place he visited was not his party. He went to SDP. He went to visit SDP. So what signal are you giving? This is Nigeria, where even your brother belonging to another party is a sin. Here in Nigeria. Because I've seen one in Lagos, where then SDP suspending their own member for attending a birthday party of his own senior brother who is in NRC. It happened there in Lagos. So my own blood brother, my elder brother, I should not attend his birthday party because we belong to different parties. That is what happens here. And El-Rufai has visited the chairman of SDP upon his return from his sojourn abroad. And nobody is saying anything. The party is not saying anything. So is he still their member? Or is it preparing grounds to join the SDP?
But let's look at shouldn't the anti-graft agency be coming in at this point? Or they have to wait to say the president has not given him this? And do you think Obasani has the political willpower to call for his, questioning?
Obasani has the powers as the governor. He has the powers. Once they know, they have evidence. Because now, from the charge given to EFCC, you don't start, just like what they did to former Accountant General.
Adoke.
Yes. 9 years, trial. At the end, you came to the court and apologized that, I'm sorry, we have no evidence. Man, I was so bad. So now, what they want to do is, they get their evidence and cross-check everything is right. So if Obasani and his team can get that for EFCC, EFCC need a working document. True. It's not by hearsay.
All right. Okay, in case you're just joining us, you're watching The Dex on Global Television. We'll go for a very quick break. When we return, the program continues. Stay with us. Welcome back from that quick break. You're still watching the desk on Global Television, and we're looking at very silent issues. Let's go to the foreign scene now. Let's take you to Russia, where Russia's FSB security service has said that 4 people were arrested on Sunday in a foiled terror plot had provided money and arms for the deadly attack on the Moscow concert hall last month. More than 140 people were killed when gunmen stormed the Crocus City Hall venue on March 22nd. Before setting the building on fire in the most fatal attack in Russia for 2 decades. Let's look at the point Vladimir Putin had accused Ukraine of being responsible for that attack. Let's look at, first of all, now they've caught some of the corporates. How do you think this would change the dynamics of this war against Ukraine?
Well, see, this was not, if it were to be an accident, I would have said, okay, fine. It was just an accident. But this thing happened in a wartime. Of course, normally, in a wartime, they would think it's your opponent that did it. You understand? So anything that happens in Russia that is related to terrorism or whatever, they will accuse Ukraine because they are in war. The war that we thought by now would have ended. So, but now they have found out it's not Ukraine.
But would this also divert the attention, somehow make Russia less so much focus on Ukraine and maybe start having a rethink of ending the war in order to secure the country? Because now it looks like there's this deliberate attack by terrorists now.
Let me tell you one thing. You know the genesis of this Russia-Ukraine matter. It was when Ukraine and Sweden wanted to join
NATO. Yes.
And Russia opposed it, arising to this war that they are fighting now. Now, Sweden has formally been accepted as a member
of NATO.
So that of Ukraine is still being kept. The application is being kept somewhere there because of their war. And I don't see this war ending anytime soon, because once it does...
Are you saying if there are more terror attacks on Russia, that might not make them have a rethink, knowing fully well that, okay, they are now facing two fronts?
Let me tell you, even other countries, including US, is against what Russia is doing now. But they are afraid to come out and join holistically because of the armament being amassed by Russia, you understand, including nuclear warheads, for which they have, but they are trying to avoid some casualties, too many casualties. That's why I see other countries, including US, they are just piping low. But when it comes to the worst, I think the best thing is for them to come down to the round table and see how they can discuss this matter and end it well, because the casualties on a daily basis, if you watch them, I've been watching Al Jazeera, I see all these things. They are not palatable at all. No foreign, like for instance now, most foreigners in Russia have left. Same thing with Ukraine. So you don't have, it's only them, and most of their own indigenes too have fled their own country.
Okay, some have said this might be a tactical approach by the West as a way of distracting Russia, and probably, or do you agree that Russia is kind of vulnerable at this time because their focus has been wholly on Ukraine?
I don't see any distraction there. Personally, I don't see any distraction there. Vladimir Putin is a very stubborn man. He just wanted to do it, to go ahead and do what he feels like doing. Ordinarily, I don't see my interest in joining an association being your own problems. You allow me to go. You wish me well instead. But you will tell me, whatever you meet there, if it is bad, you take it. If it's good, you take it. And not for you to say no. Instead, you start fighting me. That was a good approach.
Well, let's come back home and look at what's playing out in Lokoja, talking about Kogi State now, where the Kogi State government has denied attacking SDP weaknesses at the election tribunal and says it's illogical to attack weaknesses doing well to make paymasters lose in court. Let's look at the Kogi State Commissioner for Information, Kingsley Fanwo, at a press briefing in Lokoja on Saturday, said the Kogi State government has debunked what it described as an opposition Social Democratic Party, that it masterminded attacks on the party's weaknesses at the state governorship election petition tribunal sitting in Abuja, saying the allegations was not only reckless but stands logic on its head. The state government said, contrary to what it called a propaganda of the SDP, deciding members of the public were following the tribunal's proceedings and would know that there was no way anyone would plot an attack against weaknesses that were already testifying against those who paid them to testify and doing enough to make SDP lose woefully. Let's look at the comment of the Kogi State government. Do you agree with the angle they're coming from?
Well, you know, as a commissioner, you must protect
the government.
When the commissioner came out to make that statement, meanwhile, there were some people that already addressed a press conference here in Abuja, alleging that some of their members were being attacked, and they are not going back to Lokoja because of this, until the matter is finished from the tribunal. Anybody that they brought in there in that tribunal as a witness has refused to go back. So you can imagine. So what would make me not to go back there? Because they know the faulty ways, the faulty lines they followed into government house. If you watch that election, the pre-election period, first, Yaya Bello used a bulldozer to cut off a road leading to the town of this SDP governorship candidate.
You're talking about Jaka now?
Yes. Some of their members were being chased out of the town. Even on election day, many people did not come out because they were afraid of being attacked by APC members. Yaya Bello's attack dog. They were afraid. So now he got that election and what was that his name again?
Osman
Ododo. So he's not trying to defend that election, that faulty election that he had. He's trying to defend that election. So anybody that goes to tribunal against him, they will attack that person or kidnap that person.
But what's the security agencies doing to stop this? Is it like
well,
this?
In the state, there is a chief security officer. The director of DSS, the commissioner of police, the president, commandant of civil defense, he is the one that brings them to the table for security meetings. And he will tell them, this is what I want. Keep a blind eye to this. But I hope they don't do what I'm saying now. I hope they don't do that thing. Because if they do that, what are they for? Because they are the heads of their various security units there. Whether DSS, police, civil defense.
But with what you said, is it possible they will not be compromised?
Well,
and shouldn't
but I hope they are not.
The authorities.
What I'm saying is that I hope they don't allow themselves to be compromised. Because if they allow themselves to be compromised, then the citizens are in the whip and caprices of the governor. If I don't like you, it's just like what we said some time ago about the state police. When you establish a state police directly under the governor, of course the enemies of that governor, not even enemies per se, but political adversaries of the governor, might not sleep well in that state. They'll be picking them at random. So that's why I'm saying now, the head of security unit in Kogi State should please help Nigeria to do the right thing. Don't follow the politicians. Do what you are asked to go and do there. Do not compromise. You understand? They should do the right thing, and Nigerians are behind them.
All right, let's hope they will do the right thing. Let's take you to Ondo State, where the APC has decided that the best way to go is for the aspirants in the upcoming governorship election to submit their credentials for vetting. We know that there's been a big talk about Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa's credentials being faulty. There was an allegation by a group saying that, so the All Progressive Congress has directed all aspirants for the party's April 20th Ondo State governorship election to submit their credentials and documents to its legal department for vetting on or before the next week, Thursday. Meanwhile, the APC National Legal Advisor, Professor Abdul Karim Kana, gave the directives and notice to the aspirant made available to journalists. Let's look at what this is. This going to be a subtle way of easing out aspirants that are not in the good books of the party or not chosen by the party?
It is not a subtle way of easing some of them that are not in the good books. What the party is trying to do is this. Let us not win an election and they now say you had a faulty certificate. You understand? Because that is one issue that the courts will not compromise. Once that happens to you, let it be that, okay, we won election, this vote was not calculated or was not, but let it not come to certificate. So that's why I have praised that. They want a situation where if it is certificate, nobody is talking about the certificate in the tribunal. Let it be other minor electoral offenses, but not that one. I think I will give a thumb up to that party.
But would they be, do you think there's going to be sincerity? Because we were looking at, they say the form of vetting is first of all citing. Then let's assume they're going to do background check in the various universities.
They are told,
okay.
Because what I read in one of the papers the other day was that they will do background check, diligent check, and they will submit the papers to say security agencies to pursue it to their various schools to claim, to verify those claims. And once that is done, that the security agencies will be the one to say, okay, this one is okay, it has been verified before they ask. Because otherwise, even you that you are contesting, once you know with this development now that you have
papers are not
of course
in order.
You will chicken out. Of course you will chicken out. So that is it. I like that.
All right, let's move on to the Nigerian Police Force. Police raid IPOB and ESN hideout in Enugu kills 2 officials. That's the big story we are talking about this evening, as the police operatives have met resistance with the renegades who opened fire upon sighting them. Let's look at the fact that the Enugu State Police Command was able to go directly to the hideout of IPOB and ESN members. Does this tell us, give us a good idea that security agencies, when they're ready to get the job done, they could? And so the question is, what has stopped them from doing this all this while, and in order to end that sit at home?
Tony, let me tell you one thing.
It's phenomenal.
Nigeria has spent money in training the security personnel, and they have no other option than to do the job for which they were trained for. This thing started in Imo State, a forest in Imo State, where the police, when they found a shrine, and around that shrine, there were shallow graves where some people were being murdered. Innocent persons were being murdered. And this one too has happened in Enugu. See, if the police really wants to do their job, they do it. They do it. I have a friend, just ordinary phone. Somebody picked his phone and he went to police to report in case somebody they might be using the SIM card to do one or two things. The policeman asked him, do you still have the IMEI number of that phone? He said, yes. It's okay, fine. That phone was stolen somewhere in Otako, but it was recovered in Dokpemu, Lagos. I'm telling you, that very phone was recovered in Dokpemu, Lagos. So apparently, the person who stole the phone
and that traveled.
And they have used the two SIM cards. It was that IMEI number they used in tracking that phone. Up to Dokpemu.
Right, but let's, in terms of IPOB and ESN, recently the government had declared Simon Ekpa wanted. How far do you think they have done? Instead, he has been talking more often, even declaring some officials persons and just wanted.
I think what the federal government should do in cases like that, they should invoke the repatriation process.
Does if they have a treaty with the country to extradite
if they have, yes. People like that should be brought into the country to come and answer questions. But unfortunately, he was in the country and he escaped some years back. Just like this Binance guy also escaped here. How can you keep somebody in the house arrest and he tells you he wants to go and pray, and from there he left?
Shouldn't we hold the entire...
In fact, all the people placed as guards in that place should answer questions. They should answer questions. Did they compromise? They should answer questions.
All right, that's a very interesting talking point. We'll get to see how that's going to pan out, but we hope that with this feat of the Nigerian police force, more will be done to, safeguard the people of the South.
If the police wants to work, they will work. I give that to them.
So can we now hold, if that's the case, can we now hold them responsible for the fact that we're still having crime rate as high as it is, and these various groups are still...
You see, let me tell you, yes, we can hold them, at the same time we cannot hold them. Because if, for instance, when I say we can hold them, if you mobilize them, there are some police stations, you go there, you report a crime, they will tell you they don't have fuel in their car. Or the car is bad, they cannot repair it. So what do you do? But if you give them all these things and they refuse to do what they are supposed to do, then we can hold them.
So for now, we'll let them go scot-free for what's playing out.
Not just going scot-free. At least they are still moving about. Because what they do now, when you go to a police station, have you seen where they put bail is free?
Yes.
Find out if bail is free.
Obviously, bail is not free. But let's look at other issues. Let's go for a very quick break. When we return from this break, we take one more talking point, then we'll be wrapping up the program. Stay with us. right, as we wrap up our discourse, let's look at Edo 2024, where INEC has displayed the governorship candidate list, and that's the main talking point. Now, let's look at INEC has been involved in primaries, and with the display of the list now, how would this put to bear other persons, especially the Shuaibu, Rift, and other parties that also had issues with the aspirants in the primaries?
You see, Edo State politics is very, very interesting. How can a party be fighting just a few months to the elections, the governor and the deputy governor? I recall I had a discussion with an Edo State indigene based in Italy, Francis Onabis, who said to me that what is happening in Edo State now is very, very, very appalling. Because he too, as a politician, wants his own state to be at peace, just as he has advised that the federal government should put the security apparatus in place to attract foreign investors. Edo State is not at peace now. What they will normally tell you, Edo no dey carry last.
True.
But Edo go carry last this time.
Well, wouldn't it be a blessing in disguise if the PDP and APC, okay, especially the PDP who is in crisis, because the APC look, they also have their own kind of fair share, because we now have Dennis Idahosa, who now has decided to play the role of deputy, and some people are saying he has agreed because he probably has a mindset that somewhere along the line the governor might falter, or he might see a debt that could help him succeed the governor. Wouldn't this be also
other candidates from other parties are believing the same way? In fact, rather they want the APC crisis not to end. They want it not to end. Now, what is left now? Shuaibu has been served a notice of impeachment. Now he has to defend himself. So the other party candidates, SDP, PDP, Labour Party, NMPP, they are all in the wings. They want that crisis to deepen further. And they are also waiting where Shuaibu will move his followers to. Because as it is now, Shuaibu is not going to get a ticket of any of the parties. But he will move his followers to a particular party. That's what they are waiting for now.
Would that be a wise move for him if he still has an eye for the governorship seat? Wouldn't it be best for him?
Let me tell you, if you are walking through a narrow, very narrow, tiny bridge that has crocodiles in the water, and they put a cable with spines on that cable, then you slip. Instead of you falling into that water to be feasted upon by crocodiles, won't you hold on that spine to save you? So that is what Shuaibu is now. Shuaibu is ready to hold on the spine. So anywhere he goes to now, he wouldn't want to regret it, because he knows his party has denied him the opportunity of being the candidate of the party.
But wouldn't that also tell him that probably the party does not have faith in him per se?
It's not the party that has no faith in Shuaibu. It's the governor, Obaseki, that has no faith in Shuaibu. It's not the party.
So if the current government believes he's not good enough, is that not a strong statement for the electorate to think twice? Just like Obaseki felt Atiku wasn't good enough.
You know that Shuaibu was at the point of suspended, recalled from suspension. He was moved from government house. They transferred his office to another place, out of the government house entirely. Because Shuaibu too, he is being seen as a stubborn deputy governor. Once you work with the governor, as Obaseki, be able to know his standards and follow up. So that is it.
All right, I think that's how much time has been allowed us to take on today's edition. We talked about many things, Tinubu jetting off to Senegal for 5 years inauguration. And we also looked at Moscow, where Russia's FSB security outfit has told us that they've arrested 4 more persons in connection with the, concert fire explosion that occurred there. We also have looked at other national issues in terms of the crisis in Benue, in Kaduna, and also in Edo State, and also not forgetting Ondo State, where the APC has decided to vet the credentials of the aspirant. These and other stories is all we looked at. I want to say a big thank you to my guest on today's edition, the former chief news editor of the African Independent Television, AIT, in the person of Sunday Ayami, who has been fantastic in his analysis. Always a pleasure to have you in the studios.
Thank you so much.
All right, so that's how we're going to call it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk. Let's do this again tomorrow. Good evening. I am Anthony Omoje.